G'day, guys. Welcome back to Statchat Sports. You're here for the weekly AFL podcast, and all four of the boys are back. Tazza, BT, and Steve. Back from the twos. He's had a couple of weeks out. He's back on board for the AFL chat, mate. Steve, great to have you back on board.
Thanks, mate. Thanks. I missed you, boys. I'm back, though. Let's get it going.
Yeah, let's get it going. Let's start with you, actually. Let's start with our main segment, our hits, misses, and hold fires. Talking about a team that was a massive hit this week, a team that was really disappointing, and a team that we need to wait a couple of weeks just to really see how they're going to go this year. And Steve, you're the man with the hit, the big hit.
Yeah, I reckon there could have been a couple, but you can't, as West Coast supporters, we can't look any further than them.
Yes. Thank you, Steve. Yep. Thank you, Steve. Oh, yeah. BT, what a win. How good was that?
That's our best win since the 18 grand final. One of our best home and away season wins. With the midfielders we had a waffle midfield practically. And to play how they did, they were down in the last quarter as well, and they came back. I know Collingwood had a couple of players out as well, but the way they played like a team. They fought hard and got the win, which is what you want to see.
It was effort, wasn't it, Steve? It was something to behold, and I think they just managed to drag over the line when it didn't look like they should be anywhere near winning that game.
No, I caught only the last half of it live, but at that stage in the third quarter, they started to lose it, and I was like, yeah, same old story that we've seen from the Eagles the last couple of weeks, but that old fourth quarter comeback against Collingwood again, we love it. I'm sure they hate it, but...
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it wasn't just the star players playing well that was impressive. I mean, obviously McGovern was really good. He's back to his All-Australian best. Willie Rioli, you boys had a really good shout in our season predictions video of Willie Rioli as a surprise All-Australian.
It's happening.
Not looking too shabby.
He's got to be the All-Australian forward pocket at the moment. Equal with McCarthy with goals for small forwards, but he's played one less game. Averaging 2.7 goals.
That's huge.
Game at the moment, and he's run through the midfield as well. If the All-Australian was selected now, he would be in the forward pocket.
Yeah, he's looking absolutely on fire, but it's also the up-and-coming players, the lesser lights, which I think you really need to touch on. Two of the supplemental players that were picked in literally the week or 2 weeks before the season, Patrick Naish, Hugh Dixon. Old Hugh Dixon, just really impressive performances on the weekend. But Naish in particular just looked really good with the ball, meters gained, using the corridor. It was really impressive from those boys. I don't know what you think, but that's probably what impressed me the most is those lesser known players in that win.
Oh, for sure. Naish, that's a quality pickup, and he's going to be playing a lot of games now. The way he started this season, he could have just been coming in to fill those gaps that we needed, but he's proven his spot now. He's taken that. Big Dixon with Nad Nui going down now. He's got a big few months coming up. The old guy, Josh Kennedy, I think he had 5 disposals or so, 3 goals. He just knows how to pick a goals out at the right time. He's one of the goals he snapped from the boundary from about 40 out. That's just insane goal from someone his age now. He knows what he needs to do, and he just gets the job done every week.
BT, let's turn to you. Your miss this week. Hit him hard. Who have you got?
Purely because we talked it up so much, and I was up and about with him. I'm going with Carlton. I know they had a few. Cripps went down. Mr. Worldwide didn't play. But losing by 5 goals to Gold Coast.
It's poor.
It is. It is poor. And they hardly led at all in that game. Gold Coast ran away with it in the end as well. If you look at the stats aren't huge. Like Carlton won the possessions and a few stats, but the clearances, I think it was, 43 to 27 in clearances, 30 to 16 in stoppage clearances. So around the ground, they just got killed in those clearances. And that's clear. Paddy Cripps going down. You can't rely on just him. And if I don't know the news on him, how long he's out for or whatever. Clearly, they've been relying on him the first 3 weeks, if you look at those stats.
The thing is, though, we have spoken a lot about how good Carlton's contested ball has been through the first few weeks and their depth across their midfield. Losing Cripps, he's obviously a huge part of that midfield, but I would have thought that they've got the talent there to back that up. And like you said, clearances heavily lost, contested possessions, minus 13. Obviously, Mr. Worldwide not there hurts them, but negative 33 in hitouts. I mean, that's terrible footy in the middle there. Carlton should be winning a game like that.
Yeah, I mean, coming up against Jared Witts, he's no slouch. Is a strong ruckman, so you'd expect to definitely not get the ascendancy there. But yeah, I thought this was the best midfield in the competition. That's what everyone's been saying. Carlton, it's primo midfield, and you lose one player and it all falls apart. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. They've got some really good guys in there, but
I think this is one of those games that you talk about later in the season where it might bite them. They one game out of the top 4, one game out of the top 2 type game, and you look back at round 4 when they should have beaten a Gold Coast team, and they've just missed out on top 4 or whatever. I think this is one of those type of games.
And can I just give a shout out to one of our YouTube subscribers, Ridus. Picked the Suns to win as his bold prediction. So you got to give him props for that. That's very impressive stuff. So shout out to you, Ridus. Love your work. And we might need a bit of hand from you when I get to our bold predictions segment a bit later on in this video. Tazza, you like to sit on the fence a little bit. Your hold fire team. Give us someone that we need to just give a little bit more time to.
I think we need to be looking at the Dogs this week. 1 and 3, premiership favourite or a top 4 genuine candidate. I think you need to take into account here the draw. They've had Melbourne, Carlton, Sydney and Richmond. 4 genuinely good teams. I mean, we just did push Carlton down a few ranks, but
yeah,
Melbourne, they've been playing good footy for the most part. Looking at their run coming up, they should go 7-0 in the next 7 games. You got North, you got Adelaide, you've got Essendon, you've got Port, you've got Collingwood, Suns and Eagles, all to come in the next 7 games. I don't think you can really mount much of a case for any of those teams to get over the Dogs.
Can I just ask quickly? I didn't see their game, but I'm looking at it now. They kicked 19 behinds. Did they lose that game themselves or did they actually get beaten?
If you look at those stats, Steve, across the board, more scoring shots, more inside 50s, almost plus 50 in disposals. They won the clearance count. So, yeah.
They defeated themselves.
And that's been a hallmark of their game throughout the season. So, I mean, it's something that they're going to have to clean up, absolutely, if they want to beat these lesser teams.
I watched that game. I had that and the Fremantle game on at the same time. One on TV, one on the phone. Watch them both. Richmond, their pressure was like when they won the premiership type pressure. So I know it looks stats-wise, it doesn't favour Richmond at all, but their pressure. So a lot of those behinds were tough shots from like the boundary and type thing. They weren't like set easy shots or anything like that. A lot of those behinds were pretty hard, but Bulldogs did play better. I will say that. Bulldogs did play a lot better than Richmond in that game.
Combined in the last 2 weeks, the Dogs have kicked 16 goals, 36. I mean, we can look at this week and try and isolate it, but going back to, and they beat Sydney. That's a promising thing where they've absolutely killed them for chances, but just haven't been able to put them through the big ones.
I think they still need to sort out that forward line mix as well. They still obviously are really hurting with Bruce not in the lineup, and that just puts all the pressure on Norton to have to stand up against, double teams and the main defender. But I think the other thing you have to look at with the Dogs as well is their backline's been decimated as well, particularly the key position players. They didn't have Cordy or Keith there on Saturday night, and not that they're long-term injuries, but when you miss, your 2 main key defenders, you're always going to struggle, I think. So you've got to keep that in mind as well with the Dogs. Game day overreactions. When you're watching the game and you get a little bit excited, you can make a couple of silly calls. That's exactly what we want to touch on in this segment. A couple of calls from the Statchat boys and then a couple of calls from our subscribers on YouTube as well. So we really appreciate the feedback that we're getting on there. First off, this was one of my calls over the weekend, watching the North Melbourne game. Horn Francis, number 1 draft pick. He's looking really good. Had probably his best game so far on the weekend. Is he already North Melbourne's best midfielder, as is right now? BT, you liked the look of him on the weekend.
I think, like I said in the group chat, you wouldn't think he's a first-year player. He's built like a 4 or 5 season. His skill isn't as good as like a Simpkin, but the way he hunts the ball and the way he tackles, he's a very good player. And you can see why he was obviously drafted so high. He's definitely top 3 player in their team. Yeah, he's going to be a star. He's an absolute beast, he is.
Taz, is there anyone we're missing here? Obviously, we have spoken about how good the midfield is there for North Melbourne and their young talent. Is there anyone that you might just be skimming over?
No, I think you're probably almost on the money there. Guys like Luke Davies-Uniacke have showed promise, but I've hardly been able to put it together in, I think, the 3 or 4, I think maybe 5 years he's had there. Yeah, in terms of being able to hit the ground running, we haven't seen it from any of the North mids or any of those guys in that system there. So, yeah, I still put Simpkin number 1, but he's a different kind of player. So it's hard to really quantify who's the better one there because they offer 2 different skill set.
Yeah, and look, if he's not there now, he definitely will be in the next couple of years' time. Steve, I want to ask you this question because you haven't been on the podcast for the last couple of weeks, so you've missed a little bit of BT's love affair with Smoke and Joe Danaher. BT was at it again on the weekend. He reckons that Smoke and Joe is the best centre-half forward in the competition. Your thoughts, Steve?
Don't mind it. Don't mind the call. How many has he kicked for the season so far? Anyone got that stat on him?
He's got 12, I think. I think he's equal.
Where does that
second
sort of put
in
him?
the Coleman.
Second in the Coleman? I mean, that just about says it all, doesn't it? He's right up there, probably with Harry Mackay at the moment. For me, 2 in-form key forwards.
Are we being picky here on centre-half forward? I mean, BT, he's your man. You love him. Is he a full forward? Is he a centre-half forward? What would you call him?
He's like a traditional type centre-half forward. I'd say Mackay, a Tomahawk are your full forwards. And then, because Brisbane like to play either Big O or Darcy Fort, or either Charlie Cameron, he plays full forward more than Danaher does. Like, I'm talking out of the square type full forward. I know the game's a little bit different these days, but Danaher's more that. Well, I think he kicked 2 goals from outside 50 on the weekend. So you don't see full forwards kick outside 50, but your centre-half forwards obviously do.
That's fair. And one last overreaction, this one coming from YouTube, our good friend Justin Timberlake's brother. He's a Brisbane fan and he himself doesn't think that the Lions will get any further than a prelim, which is a big overreaction, I think, at this stage of the season. Steve, I mean, Brisbane realistically looking at one of the top 2 teams in the comp right now.
Yeah, but who have they played? Who did they just lose to?
So
Geelong, which is Geelong in Geelong. It's not a bad loss. They look competitive.
But their previous fixtures, just trying to have a quick look. I mean, North Melbourne, you expected to win that.
North Essendon and
Essendon.
Port.
Yeah. So maybe besides Port Adelaide, because that was the first game, and at that stage we didn't realise they were going to be as terrible as they are. Sorry, Tazza. But
it's all good.
Besides them, and obviously Geelong, they've not really played anyone of note so far. So don't want to step too far and say they're not in for a shot. But yeah, I mean, I could realistically see that happening. So
that's an interesting one. And look, like I said, we appreciate you guys putting your overreactions in the comments of our YouTube video. So make sure you're doing that if you're watching the footy this weekend and you just think of something that you need to get out. Make sure you let us know because we want to talk about it here on the show next week. But we've got a brand new segment. We're going to turn over to Professor Tazza, who's going to give us his monthly report cards. Back in the day when you were in primary school and your teacher would tell you how you're going, midway through the year, and you either wanted to give the report card to your parents or you kind of wanted to stuff it in the bag. Well, Taz is the one that's going to be giving out the grades. We want to see where you rank the teams at the moment, Tazza, and we're going to give you some good, honest feedback about it as well.
All right, here we go. Well, we'll start from last to first. We'll work our way up. I've got 2 teams with an F at the moment, Port Adelaide and the Bulldogs. I know we talked about the Bulldogs.
Wow.
We talked about the Bulldogs having a hard run, but they are a premiership contender. If you want to be a premiership contender, you've got to win these games.
Well, that's a big call, though. I mean, surely...
I flirted with a D or an F. I'm ruthless.
If Bulldogs are an F, freaking Port Adelaide should be like a Z or something.
If there was a Z, I'd give it to them. I would, because they've been atrocious, hapless, every other negative adjective you can think of. That's them.
All right. Well, who did you settle on for a D then, if the Bulldogs didn't get it?
So I've got 3 teams. Essendon, I've got North Melbourne, and I've got GWS. Essendon getting their first win. Hopefully for them, it's the start of things to come. But they have been fancied by a lot of people as a top 8 team. I mean, 1 and 3, they're already behind the 8 ball.
They have had a tough draw to start, though. I mean, they have played Geelong, Brisbane, and Melbourne.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're 3 good teams.
Enough. Yeah, and that's probably why I haven't given them anything worse. But they only just got over the line against Adelaide too. Yeah, North, I mean, the spanking really doesn't help them against Brisbane.
No.
They were hapless there. And I mean, GWS, we've all spoken about them as not a contender, but a top 8 fancy. I know Brody's been big on them, probably not so much anymore.
No, they're shit.
But yeah, well, there you go. That's why they get the D. Moving on, I've got Adelaide as a C- at the moment. 1 and 3, but they're within a couple of kicks of going 3 and 1. So they lost to Freo by a point. They lost to Essendon by a kick. We don't expect them to do a whole lot this year. They're in the middle of a rebuild. Really not expected challenge, and they're that close to being 3 and 1. So
I reckon you'd be harsh. I reckon you'd be harsh on them, to be honest. You'd be pretty happy with their start if you're an Adelaide supporter.
They're also 1 kick away from being 0 and 4.
Yeah.
And you look at it that way, 100%. Yeah, whichever way you twist it. I mean, you can give them whatever there, but this is why we have a debate, because there's plenty of opinions, and I'm not always going to get it right. Or Professor Taz isn't going to do it. Isn't going to get it right every week. For a C, I've also got Collingwood. New coach, new system, 2 and 2. The loss against the Eagles probably is quite disappointing, but a team trying to inject younger talent with a new system, it's going to happen. And that leads into my other C grade, which is Hawthorn. They're in the exact same boat. New coach, injection of talent. West Coast I have sitting at a C as well. 1 and 3 have been competitive. Let's not forget the COVID. The COVID's just ravaged their team.
Oh, how could you forget? Jesus Christ.
I know you guys can't, but yeah, no, it's been really hard for them. And getting the win on the weekend will be huge for them and their confidence. And I've got Richmond. They've had some good wins, some disappointing losses. It's been a win-loss for them. So it's been a little hard to get a read on where they are. Their win on the weekend, really wanted to put them closer to a B for it, but I had to rest at a C+ because 2 and 2, they're sitting out the 8. It's hard to really give them a pass mark. Well, too much of a pass mark.
Yeah, hard to disagree with anything so far. Professor Taz is on fire. Keep it up, mate.
All right. So I've got 5 teams sitting within a B- to a B+. Starting off with Gold Coast. Obviously, didn't really predict big things for them to start the season. Have gone 2 and 2, beating the Eagles in Perth. I mean, albeit it wasn't the greatest list that they put out. And the win against Carlton. I mean, take nothing away from Gold Coast. They did look pretty decent. They didn't let them sneak back in. Sitting at B grades, I've got Sydney and Carlton. Carlton, I mean, they were premiership contenders up until, and some people might think they still are, but I think the gloss has been taken off their 3-0 season with a bad loss to the Gold Coast. And Sydney, 3 and 1 start, good wins against GWS, Geelong. They look good. Fremantle sitting at a B+, sitting third in the ladder.
Fremantle's an interesting team for me because they are 3 and 1, but aside from the Derby and the last quarter against the Giants, I don't think they've looked overly convincing.
The Saints' effort was pretty awful. For Freo at the moment, I think wins on the board is the main thing. They're going to get 5 back at some point. There's definitely a lot of growth to be had in that team.
So who's left with your A grades then? How many teams we got left?
We have 3 teams. I've gone Geelong with an A-. They're within that big pack of teams sitting at 3 and 1. Their outlier loss against Sydney is the one that will hurt them. They kicked pretty inaccurately, and Sydney only really won that because they'd kicked 7 and goals 5.
And it was Buddy night.
It was Buddy night too.
It's hard to really fault them on a loss like that.
Geelong did their part and I think made it all about Buddy and let them get away with the win. Brisbane have got an A as well. They haven't had great opponents, but the win's a win. They're sitting pretty for now. Unlucky not to get it done against Geelong.
Oh, the bullshit umpires. They have it in for Brisbane down in Geelong, don't they? Oh, God.
You couldn't script it. Why does it keep happening every bloody time they go down there? And so last but not least, Melbourne are 4-0, as I'm sure Steve will love at the moment. His predictions.
Thinking about getting the membership out a little early.
Oh, wow.
In case you haven't tuned into some of our previous videos, Steve made the bold prediction before the season started that Melbourne would go undefeated through the season, and he's still on. You're still on, mate.
Still on, and I'll be on for the whole season. I'm telling you right now. It's just, I don't understand anymore.
Look, yeah, Melbourne 4-0. hard to give them anything bar an A. They haven't been super convincing. They haven't been the Melbourne we saw throughout the final series last year, but they're getting it done. The real only top tier talent they've come up against is the Bulldogs in round one, yet to really be tested by other top teams. But 4-0, not much else you can say. It's hard to find too many negatives in that.
I like that. That's a good list from you. I don't think any of the teachers are coming in for a meeting. I think they're all pretty happy with where that's at.
That's pretty spot on. Other than the Bulldogs, I'm not giving that one to you.
Nah, the Bulldogs was harsh. I do get that, and I didn't know where to put them, and I
think it was just you just didn't want Port Adelaide as the only F team. That's.
Oh, you got me. You got me.
All righty, BT, it's your time to shine. BT's game of the week.
This round, it's pretty shithouse games, not going to lie. It's not the best matchups. Nothing really exciting. So I've gone with the Sunday afternoon game, which is exciting time slot right there.
Easter Sunday. Essendon
versus Fremantle. It's not the most exciting matchup, but I think it's a big matchup in how the table might turn out towards the end of the season.
The bookies don't know what to do with this game either. I think it's even odds right now.
Yes. If Fremantle win this and they're 4-1, nearly locking in finals there. If Bombers win this, then their season's back on track. If Bombers, lose this, then 1-4, they're out of finals, you would assume. Based on Essendon's teams they've versed, and Fremantle have versed pretty easy teams, their bookies don't know what to do. So I think it's a pretty even matchup, and I think it should be a pretty good game.
I had a look at the stats for these two teams throughout the year so far. Almost identical in possessions, inside 50s, clearances, pretty much any major stat you can think of. They are just about dead level across the board. It's uncanny.
And their last game was only a six-point margin, I'm pretty sure, the last time they faced each other. So they normally have pretty good matches. So I think this one's Eddie had, though. So
It's at Marvel, and here's the stat for you, BT. You'll love this. Fremantle have only beaten Essendon once at Marvel Stadium, and that was 12 years ago. From that point of view, odds are going to be stacked against them.
You would assume so. But I don't know. This is one of Fremantle's, I think, better seasons. Can we just appreciate how good Brayshaw is? Andrew Brayshaw, he is a top quality. I'd say I would put him in top 3 midfielder in the comp, top 5, possibly player in the comp. Last 2 games, he has got a tag, and his work rate, I was at the Eagles game and he got that tag in that first half. I've never seen someone run as hard as he does.
Nelson was buggered.
Yeah.
By halftime. He couldn't, even if they wanted to keep that tag, I don't think he could have kept it up.
No.
He was buggered. Brayshaw worked him into the ground.
He's an absolute gun, and if they win enough games, he's going to be up there for the Brownlow. I can see that. He'll be pushing that top 5 Brownlow. So
with no 5 as well, no one to take the votes off.
Yeah, and I'm assuming Fife's going to be playing a lot forward when he comes back. They're not going to put him straight into the midfield. They're going to ease him back into it because they're going to need him towards the point of the end of the season, because I'll be very surprised if Fremantle don't make finals.
Can we talk about Essendon a little bit here? Obviously been disappointing through the first 4 rounds, but I think one of their shining lights, our man 2 Metre Peter. He has looked very impressive up front. Tazza, do you think that he is turning into a genuine number 1 key forward?
Yeah, absolutely. He's been a beacon of light down in that forward line for them. He's delivering, and he's providing a presence, I think. Without Harry Jones there, obviously they want to put a lot of stock into Harry Jones, but he's been very good. And yeah, he's definitely a number 1 forward for them. I mean, he's not going to break any records, and he's probably not going to average 3 or 4 goals a game anytime soon, but
he is right now. He's averaging 3 goals a game for the first 4 weeks. He is absolutely killing.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll eat my words. That's pretty decent. Hey, look, I back him in. I just didn't think he was performing that well.
He is going really well so far. Equal second in the Coleman, I think. So he is killing it.
There you go. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Speaking on 2 Metre Peter, I saw a little tweet from someone, and they said if his name wasn't Peter, what would his nickname be? And I saw there was a good one, and someone said 6'7" Kevin. I like that one. Although that was a pretty funny tweet. That was a good one.
A tip, fellas. Steve, who do you like in this one?
Probably Dockers, just based off of form. Break that 12-year losing streak. Why not? They've been playing pretty well. So, yeah, I'll back the Dockers as much as that pains me to say.
Yeah, I'll back the Dockers. Definitely. Yep.
Yeah, I'm going Fremantle. And I think they're going to do it pretty comfortably, to be honest with you. I think they're going to do it minimum 4 goals.
I've actually tipped Essendon. I'm going to go the Lone Wolf. But that being said, do not take stock in my tips at all because I have had a terrible year so far. But I'm sticking with my guns. I'm going Lone Wolf. I'm going the Dons. I reckon they'll get their season back on track.
That's as bad as a call as your Taron Thomas for All Australian.
Oh, no. If Taron was still playing, he'd be going all right. He just had a bad injury. He'll come back. He's all good. It's time for Steve to step up to the mantle of bold predictions master. It's your segment, mate. You need to be the judge. We've missed you the last couple of weeks. Bold predictions.
I must admit, yeah, I've been off for the last 2 weeks, but I have heard the bold predictions going around. I've been a bit disappointed, to be honest.
You've been disappointed in the boldness, or you've been disappointed in the accuracy? Because there's been some terrible predictions.
Oh, look, a bold prediction isn't supposed to be accurate, unless, of course, you're myself with the flawless Melbourne record. But
well,
so
Steve, can I just say, you've had a terrible week last week for bold predictions.
I did,
you picked the Eagles
right.
to go undefeated, and they actually
correct.
won. Yeah. Yep. You also picked Michael Frederick in the first round to win goal of the season. Shai Bolton's just clipped him, and it's round 3.
Oh.
I mean, you've had terrible.
I didn't see that one.
Rounds.
I didn't see that goal, so I'll have to give it a watch, and then I'll let you know. But I also picked Carlton to win the flag, and then they go ahead and lose to Gold Coast. I know that doesn't really mean much, but...
All right. Well, how about try and redeem yourself? What do you got for us this week?
You want me to go first? No, I'll go last. because I reckon it'll beat yours anyway. So I want to hear BT's first.
All right, here we go. We're going to Friday night, the Sydney versus Eagles game. I'm picking out one player, Callum Mills. He's going to have a day out against the Eagles. He's going for a triple-double, 40 disposals,
Triple-double,
10 marks, 10 tackles.
Wow. Do we know like when that's happened before? Do we have any stats on that?
No, I tried to find it over the last 2 years, and then I got bored looking. So over the last 2 years, I didn't see it, unless I missed it.
You're gonna have to forgive me. I don't know who that is.
You don't know who Callum Mills is?
Oh,
come on,
Tazza, tag. Take this one. You've been doing it the last couple of weeks. Help me out.
Look, I think that's a bit of hope from you there, BT, because I know you're looking at bringing him into your fantasy team. So.
Hence why I'm bringing him into my fantasy team, because he's going that big.
Yeah.
Be 160 plus fantasy points this week as well.
Jeez, that would be incredible.
And I'll be pushing top 100 in fantasy.
Oh. Well, so my bold prediction is fantasy related, Steve. So okay. I don't know if you want me to jump in next or not.
Go for it. It's
Maxi Gawn. I'm going straight to the big Maxi this week because he had a big week last week. He had 140 AFL fantasy points. He looked back to his normal self. I think he's going to kick on. He's going to go one better again this week. Maxi Gawn's career best AFL fantasy score is 154. He did that against North Melbourne back in round 23 of 2019. He had 26 posies, 3 goals, 40-plus hitouts. This week, against the Giants, he's going to beat his career best AFL fantasy total. So he's going 155 plus.
Have you got some disposals and some? Give me some goals and some disposals with it as well. What's he kicking? What's he getting? Why is he getting 155 plus?
So it's not for the hitouts. He's going to share the hitouts with Luke Jackson. So he's not having like a big 60 plus hitout game. It's the posies and it's the marks, right? So he's going 25 plus posies. He's going. I'll go bold. He's going to have 15 plus marks. He had 12 on the weekend. He's going to have 15. He's going big. That's where he's going to get his big score from.
He has 15. He's scoring close to 180. If he has 15 marks.
That's a 180 there.
Wow, that is huge.
That's where I'm going.
That's your best call yet.
Yeah, that's not bad from you, Josh. I like that. That's not bad from you. Probably your best one so far. I agree. Tazza, bring it home.
All right. I'm going to the Hawks and Cats game. I'm looking at Geelong. Hawthorn are looking like a bit of an up and down rabble from time to time. I've got a bit of a combo here. I've got Mitch Duncan going for 35 posies and 10 marks, and then Hawkins to kick 7. On the
Seven.
I think he kicked 7.
Wow.
He's looked pretty good. He looked real good against Brisbane.
He had 3 goals where it was clear pushing the mark, pushing the back. It's 7. That's bold prediction. You could just do
That's what
7
we're
with
here
him
for.
without throwing in the Duncan.
No, but Hawthorn are giving up a lot to midfielders.
Yeah.
Have they got the same umpiring crew on that game? Because if they do,
They come on the bus with them, don't they?
They sing the song with them.
Look, I threw in Mitch Duncan because Hawkins is probably the premier forward in the game, along with Danaher.
Yeah, you're lucky you added that
against
in.
the Hawks.
Oh,
Yeah.
you got. I was ready to go, mate.
Oh no, you're a hard man to please, so I know I gotta go above and beyond.
I like
Is that
it.
bold enough for you?
Yeah, it is. I'm not sure. Actually, I think mine might not be the boldest this week.
What?
Look,
Come
I-
on, Steve.
I don't know. Some of you might not think it's that bold, but I'm going player based. Josh Rochelle, is that how you pronounce his name? I think it is. If he continues his form, all Australian.
All Australian.
Wow.
That's pretty
not-
bold.
That's bold. That's stinky almost. That's a stinky call, I reckon. That's
Stinky.
Him and Rioli in the forward pockets.
That's
Yes,
steaming.
that'll look good. That.
Mate, he is a weapon though.
Oh yeah.
He's an absolute weapon. This is got to be one of the best seasons for like first year players in a long time. The players that have come through this year.
which
These
is
guys are-
surprising given how little game time these players have had over the last couple of years with COVID.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. These guys, like, there's a lot of guys who would normally win a Rising Star if they win another season, like a Rochelle or a Horn Frank. Because I think we can all say that like a Dacos is probably the favourite and more than likely going to win it.
Yeah,
He's a
if
standout.
he plays the full
Yeah.
season, he's
Yeah.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lock.
Which is pretty harsh on like a Horn Francis or a Rochelle, who are top quality players.
That's a very bold call. It's almost a silly call, I think. Not as silly, though, as our mate R Dizzle in the comments of the YouTube video. He was backing in Port Adelaide to win against Melbourne by 9 points. Silly call, mate. I know you're getting back behind Taylor and giving him a bit of love, but Tazza doesn't need that sort of love, all right? That's a silly call.
Oh, why not? What have I done?
Port was no chance of beating Melbourne. I mean, come on. I can't tip, but even I tipped that one. I mean, that's...
Oh yeah, I saw a lot of
Silly
people
call.
calling. So Porter, their backs up against the wall. They can really do it. They're at home. They're going to fight back, and you couldn't have got a worse effort out of them.
That's
6 minutes till 3/4 time, and they got their first bloody goal. That was absolute rabble. It was disgusting. That was a hard watch, and somehow I watched the whole bloody thing.
That's
done
going to be the
well.
most boringest game I've probably ever watched, and I've watched a lot of football, and I've never watched a more boring game than that. I'd rather
It was
watch like a
awful.
North Melbourne versus Gold Coast on a Sunday afternoon than watch that Friday night game.
There you
Good
go.
enough.
Bold predictions. If you've got some bold predictions, let us know in the comments of the video. We want to hear them, and hopefully you actually get some right, because we have not been in good form so far. So hopefully with your help, we can get back on board. Fellas, that's going to do it for this week's video. Steve, nice return to the senior team from you. Great to have you back on board. Looking forward to doing it again next week. BT, Tazza, nice work as well from you. If you liked the video, guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because it lets us know that you're enjoying our content and keeping you up to date with all the latest videos that we're putting out. Aside from that, stay tuned for more next week, and we will catch you then. Cheers, guys.